So I'm going to do a quick little intro to this video. This video has taken 3 days for me to do now. The 501, the processor was down. You'll see the first part while we were working on it. And then at the end of the, towards the end of the video, most of the meat, I'm going to talk about my experience with Milton Cat service. And how I'm just overall happy with it. It's just my opinion. Nothing more than that. It's not a plug. It's not a suggestion that anybody should do anything with it other than me talking about it. So I figured I'd do this first, so you kind of, towards the end of videos where I talk about that, I'm walking around our next woodlot. So hang on. I'll be back.
What happened to my can?
What are you doing? Timber. It's like a mud hound. Yeah. Hey everyone, it's Monday. We got Milton Cat out here. We're having a hydraulic issue with the processor. And my favorite Milton Cat mechanic, Sanford, is out here to help us figure it out. I'll do some more detail later. I can talk a little more. All his gauges hooked up. I'll walk up here and I got a little step stool thing that'll make it easier for Sanford to hop up on the up by the pumps on the processor. So last week, what happened? We were done getting. We were gonna move. I think it was Wednesday. We were gonna move the processor and forwarder over to the new job. And I have the whole thing laid down with the buncher. I went up in the woods to clean some brush out of one of the guys' landowners' tractor trails, and I was swinging back and forth, and then all of a sudden I noticed that the swing was all jittery and fluttery, and the functions weren't right, and it would just stop tracking. Hey, look, Mark's loading, and it would just stop tracking, and you'd like bump the main boom lever up and it would come right back to life. So there was a little more to it than that. The functions aren't acting right, and so I decided Sanford needed to come out and take a look at it. And here, so I got this for Sanford. And so I frigged around with a few things, but got to the point where I knew I wasn't going to get anywhere with it. Got Sanford to come out. And right now what it seems like is it's not showing any standby pressure on the pump. I don't know how the pump still works without that, but it's got something to do with, it's not, I think, he hasn't figured it out yet, but it's not telling the pump to do the right things, or to stroke up when it's calling on it. So it must kind of get out of whack, and then the functions act weird and jittery, and like nothing quite right. So anyways, hopefully he comes out with some diagnosis that we can fix, and I'll come back and explain it to you guys. So why don't you hold on. I'm getting right back down here. Give Sanford his stepping stool to make his life easier. Holding breaker bar, we're taking that block right there underneath the bar is the load sensing valve. Thinking it might be in there. So hey everybody, it's the next day now. It's Tuesday. I left the conversation off yesterday talking about, I think that we thought it was this control valve. Well, we chased some things around, and we kind of, I think Sanford was thinking it was the control valve, and then then we chased some other things, thinking maybe it was something else. So it kind of bolts up, so those two pressure settings, reliefs, or whatever they are pointed like that, and it's got some O-rings that go in here, and then this part bolts up. It goes exactly like this and just bolts up like that. There's like a spool in here and there. He took this out, and it's like a little pencil shaped like chrome thing on there, and that's this little block, from what I understand, is what tells the pump to stroke up. And I guess the way the system is set is that if those little spools in there have any sort of bleed by, it must not take much and lose pressure, or it won't have enough signal to tell this pump to stroke up all the way. So, I mean, being optimistic, hopefully this is what the problem is, and we'll, if we bolt this on and it's back to life. And see, we got it once where we frigged around with it and the pressure was back up to where it should be, like 46 to 4800 psi. But as soon as you ran it a little bit, it would, I think when the hydraulic fluid would get warm, it would kind of bypass this, and that's when we'd lose pressure again. It wouldn't hold it. So if we can get this on and we can run it and it doesn't come back down with pressure, we'll be good. So, but I'll be back and give you an update here in a little bit. Hey everyone, I'm back. This YouTube video is turning into 3 days. Just the way that it worked with getting the processor fixed, which it is fixed. So I'll go through that. I wanted to talk about cat service in Milton Cat and their team a little bit, but I'm coming over right now. They can't move, the low bed couldn't move the processor until tomorrow, so I've got some free time today. So I'm gonna my forester got this job all ribboned out, so I want to walk it and look at kind of where I want to set the yard up. This is all gravel right here. It's got grass on top, and there's a field out here. So usually September and even into October can be pretty dry, or dry enough to work with, but we will get to a certain time of the year where there's not enough daylight and heat to dry things out, and that makes trucking difficult, so we need to plan for that. I might end up here making yarding up to where I am right now instead of back in the field here. Sometimes it's worth it just to yard a little bit further to make sure the truck is not going to have an issue, and we need to pile from behind. So right here, he could probably back around in by the barn there, because it's gravel. I don't know if you can see, but right about where that shadow is, it drops off and it's gravel out to there. So he can probably get backed around. So if we pile wood from behind a little bit further that out where we drove in, we'll probably be better off. If not, and it holds up, it's a little higher along the wood line here, and I'll probably open up along the tree line right here and pile from behind. If not, we'll go out a little further. Anyways, when I come back here, I'll talk about Milton Cat, their service, and a little bit about my opinion of them. It's just my opinion, and I'll do that while I'm walking around here. So hang on, I'll be back. Okay, so hopefully some of these videos, I don't know if they get redundant if I'm talking about the same thing too much. When I do videos that I don't do all at once, it kind of gets hard to remember what you've already covered. And so I might cover some of the same things again. And I'm going to kind of talk to you guys while I'm walking around here looking at the wood. And so anyways, so basically I'll do a little quick synopsis of what happened with the processor. And last week the hydraulics started acting real funny. Didn't have the power it needed. It was real shuddery, kind of like maybe the valves were stuck open, or it just was wicked. It wasn't working right. And so I talked with, I think I mentioned Sanford, who's kind of, I don't like to play favorites, but he's my guy when it comes to field service at Milton Cat. And he's the nicest, most calm, mellow guy you've ever met, and you know, I think he'd do anything to help you out. He doesn't mind taking my calls and trying to help me out with things when I'm trying to figure something out. But anyway, so he thought it was the compensating valve, that block that I showed you guys. We chased a couple other things around. I showed you the new one. So I got back there yesterday, put that new compensating valve on, or Sanford did. And that, pretty much, I ran it long enough to get it hot. And he was right. He was right from the beginning. That seemed to cure the problem. Got it, the hydraulics up to around 125 degrees, which is plenty warm enough to have made it done what it was doing. At any rate, that solved the problem. They didn't have that part. So, talking about Milton Cat Service, and I've done business with them for quite a long time now, pretty much my whole career, other than the first few years that I cut wood by hand. 3 or 4. I think I cut wood by hand with a cable skidder and chainsaws for 3 or 4 years before I got mechanical stuff or cut to length. And anyways, after that, I had stuff that Milton Cat serviced or had parts for. And everybody has a varying opinion, and that's based on the experiences that you've had with a dealer or equipment. And a lot of times the response you get is based on how you conduct yourself. So my MO has always been, I'm not a hot-headed guy. I think a lot of guys get angry with dealers and frustrated, which I get, because downtime and parts is really expensive in the woods business. And when you're frustrated like that, people tend, or in my observation, not everybody, and it's just my observation, tend to start wanting to place the blame or get mad. And a lot of times that's the dealer. You might get the opinion that they're getting rich, or they should be doing it for free, and that's just not the way business works. And I've always been of the opinion that if I stay calm, level-headed, and treat them the way I want to be treated, when I really need something to get done, their willingness to want to help me comes to the top of the list. Imagine if you're working in parts or Milton Cat Service and you work there 40, 50 hours a week. You've got a job to do. You're not trying to make other people's lives miserable, and you get a contractor or somebody on the other end of the line screaming at you or telling you this or that. It's probably pretty insulting. But I don't know, that's kind of getting on a rant there, and kind of how I look at things as far as I feel like it's more beneficial for me just to let things go. If I start to get frustrated or mad, I tend to, my default tends to be just let it go. I'm not gonna, it is what it is. And so with Sanford, I kind of move on to more, get away from that little rant there. But with Sanford, and then my salesman, Colton, and then with the other Milton Cat team members with Inside, I like working with them. it just continually, it impresses me. To me, it's a team effort. I don't work for Milton Cat, but it's still a team effort because I own equipment that they service and carry parts for. And I want them to be successful as a dealer so they can provide that sort of service. And so with this scenario, this last week, in parts, they thought it was going to be 3 weeks for this part. And when my salesman had talked with, Colton had talked with Sanford, and okay, I ran out of storage in my phone, so I'm going to try to remember and splice together where I left off. Colton had checked in with Sanford, the field mechanic, to see if he had got me going, and we had determined that it was that compensating valve, and I wasn't going to be able to get going unless we had a new compensating valve. And Colton has worked in other positions in Milton Cat, so I think he kind of knows how to navigate. But in that same sense, I think Colton didn't really accept that waiting around 2 weeks or 3 weeks was an option. And so he knows the people in parts or wherever to contact. They had a new pump in stock. And so first thing yesterday morning, they had a tech go out and take that compensating valve off of the new pump they had in stock. I drove up and got it, came back down, put it on. I didn't put it on, Sanford did, and it was right back to work. Worked good. I mean, I haven't run it all day long, but seems like that solved the issue. And I just really like, everybody has a different experience, and this is just my experience. So I'm sure somebody on here can get on and tell me about how terrible Milton Cat is and how bad of an experience that they had, or whatever scenario. And I'm sure there's frustrating times, but I think it's kind of like any relationship. You get mad at each other and pissed off, but you can resolve it. That just hasn't been my overall experience with Milton Cat. I don't really, it just works for me. I'm very happy. And you spend a lot of money. Logging is not just a job or a career. It's a lifestyle. And it's really nice to work with people who care and want to keep you going. And that's with some of the people I know, Colton, Sanford. There's some other people that I know in Milton Cat. They really do care and want to keep you going and want to make sure that you're successful, because if we're not successful, I'm not going to upgrade equipment. It's only in their best interest. So it just makes me feel good that maybe we could have, like I said earlier, avoided a day being down, but they didn't drop the ball, and they moved quick to figure out how to get me going. And that just means a lot to me. Anyways, everybody, and I have friends that have the exact same experience with John Deere and other dealers, so it's not exclusive. A lot of times it's who you know, or I think a lot of it has to do with how you conduct yourself. You're calling up service always screaming and hollering, thinking you're owed the world, they're probably not going to want to help you. I wouldn't. So anyways, we are back going. Problem solved. I didn't really go too in depth about the technical things with cat service or anything else, but mainly just talking about my overall experience and kind of coming from this recent experience. Just happy with the people that I do business with. So anyways, take it for what it is. Just my opinion. I think I was busy last week. I didn't get a video out, and I was trying to get a video out this week, and it's just been kind of piecemeal together. So if this is interesting, hopefully it is. Maybe it isn't. Leave your likes and comments. Subscribe. We're just about at 900 subscribers, so we're slowly creeping up to that 1,000 subscribers where I'll do a video about how I got into the woods business and how I got to where I am now. So you guys have a good one. We'll catch you later.